welcome to the JCMoseley FC Podcast, where we are obsessed with football. My name is Elliot, and I am here today with Christian. How are you today, Christian?
I'm doing great, Elliot. How's it going?
I'm doing all right. Yes, we are back with season 2 of the podcast. If you're new, if this is your first time listening, welcome. We are really glad to have you listening in. There's a whole season 1. We did 5 episodes last season, last football season of season 1. And if you like what you hear today, we'd love it if you go check out the previous episodes. Anything else you want to let people know about this podcast?
It's a great podcast. Just two friends talking about the greatest sport in the world, and then we'll be showing our opinions. So looking forward to season 2. Season 1 was a good one, and then season 2, we're looking to give you guys a better quality podcast, and then just have fun.
Yeah, and it's again we said it in season 1. I'm going to say it again here. This is just our opinion. We're not experts. We're not trained journalists or anything like that. We're just here talking and giving our opinions. People are going to disagree with us, and that's fine. But we just love football. That's kind of what the whole purpose of this is. We love football. We love talking about it. We want other people to hear our conversation about football too, because we love listening to other people talk about football, right? So that's just kind of how we are. So today, we're going to kind of pick up a little bit where we left off at the end of season 1. We are going to do a quick recap of the summer international tournaments, the Euros and Copa America. We didn't quite get to wrap those up in the last season. And then we will preview this upcoming season, kind of talk about some things that we're looking forward to, some things that maybe we're worried about, just kind of generally chat about how we think this season is going to go, the one that's coming up. But first of all, we are going to talk about our sponsor for this video.
Yes, our sponsor today is the Treasury App. It's an app that allows you to track your bills, pay your bills, and see overdue bills. So it's an app that is available on the App Store and Google Play, and it's free to use, to be able to use. However, if you want to have extra features, it's only $4.99 a month if you pay monthly, or you can even pay every 3 months, $9.99, or yearly $40 a month. So I use the app to be able to track my bills and make sure that I pay my bills on time. And if sometimes life happens, you can always see what bills is overdue, and you can use that to be able to stay on top of your finances. So I really recommend it. Again, it's free on the App Store and Google Play.
Yeah, and thank you so much to the Bills Treasury App for sponsoring this video.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive right in. We'll recap the Euros and Copa America. Okay, so as I said in the intro there, we're going to start by recapping the summer tournaments. We are about a month away, 3-4 weeks out from the finals of both tournaments. Yeah. They happened about 3 or 4 weeks ago as we're recording this. I'm still a little bit disappointed about the England-Spain final. I was very much hoping that we could get the job done, but unfortunately, Spain were just too good, and I think sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and go, we were beaten by the better team. They were the best team in the tournament. They played the most exciting football, the football that was the most enjoyable to watch. I can't really have too many complaints, to be honest. I think, disappointing, obviously, that we couldn't get the job done. I think we had the players and the squad to be able to win the tournament, but on the day, it's how you play on the day, right? And Spain on the day were just better, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to a British pub to watch the game, like an actual British pub. I think everybody was British there, but I can't just assume. But yeah, it was great. It was a good time, but unfortunately, for England, I really wanted England to win because I like the Premier League and stuff, and then all of that. But sadly, they lost. But I think, as you were saying earlier, the better team won. Like, let's just be honest, they were the better team, the best team in the tournament. They beat everybody. They didn't lose a single game. They did not even drew a game. They were just better from the beginning to the end. They dominated England. Um, but I don't want to put blame on this, but I mean, I kind of predicted this, Elliot, from the beginning. I was like, with Gareth Southgate, I just don't think the guys can win something. And his his starting lineup was very questionable, to be honest. I mean, I don't know how you feel about his starting lineup. I didn't have confidence. I feel like he was just like willing to give possessions to Spain and just let them play and kind of playing in the counter attacks and like try to outplay them. I didn't really think that was the best decision. Cole Palmer, for example, I know he's a Chelsea player, but come on, the guy just like gave hope to England when everybody thought that was it. You know, he scored a goal. He was there for what? Not even 5 minutes. I don't think he was barely there, and then he scored a goal. So
yeah, it was definitely the first attack after he came on,
yeah,
from as a sub from the bench.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think the lack of flexibility in terms of the starting team, and there's a lot of England fans calling for Cole Palmer to start. Even people calling for Harry Kane to be dropped to the bench. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I can understand the argument of he wasn't really impacting the games as much as he has in the past, and he's coming off an injury at the end of the season anyway, so not quite sure that he was really 100% fit going into the tournament anyway. But continuing to play Kyle Walker at right back when you have Trent Alexander-Arnold in the squad, continuing to play Trippier at left back when you have players like Joe Gomez or Konsa even that could play left back, that I think would just balance the team a lot better. If watching a lot of the England games was not pretty. It wasn't enjoyable to watch, even as a neutral, I'm sure. I mean, obviously it's not really ever enjoyable for me to watch an England game, to be honest. But, we were texting a bit too during the games. We're just like, this is just, it's so negative, it's so boring, and we're just relying on individual moments to get us through. Which, we have the players to do that. Bellingham with a very late equalizer against Slovakia. Ollie Watkins with a very late winner against the Netherlands in the semi-final. I mean, those are all big moments that went our way. But if you look at the way that we played throughout the tournament, it wasn't good. I don't think we played very well. I don't think the team looked like a team that could win a tournament, to be honest. I mean, defensively we weren't fantastic. Going forward, we were not brilliant either. We just had these individual moments of quality that kind of took us to the final. And then even in the final, I thought we didn't really play badly, but we didn't play as well as we could have. And, again, like you said, Cole Palmer coming on, one moment of individual quality, getting us back into the game, which maybe we didn't really deserve it on the balance of play. But in these tournaments, you can't just rely or expect that those moments are going to happen. You have to have a plan, and it kind of felt like there wasn't really a plan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a coach. I'm hoping that someday I want to be, because it'd be nice fun to coach some kids. But I think that I mean, even though the play was bad, I mean, the most important is to go through. I even told you that multiple times. I was like, I know they've been terrible. They almost lost to, I think, Slovakia, right? That was the team they almost lost to. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, Jude Bellingham scores a goal at the very last minute of the game, which was like, wow. And I thought that, I thought it was bad. I mean, for England, I was worried about this team that is so talented. That was the most talented squad in this tournament, that they were just struggling to win games. And I was like, as long as you go through, that's the most important. But I agree with you, Elliot, that the game was boring at some point. I don't know what happened to Phil Foden. He had a terrible tournament. Sorry, I'm trying not to curse here. We had a terrible tournament. Phil Foden, and then Harry Kane too. I mean, is Harry Kane? I don't blame the coach for starting Harry Kane. I mean, even if I were a coach, I would start him, because this guy can score at any point in time. and he scored. He saved England a few times. He scored a few goals. But I really think that maybe getting him in out of the game so early in the game wasn't maybe the best move, honestly, because I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. I don't think it was the best move in the final. I think he got him out of the game at the 60th minute, and I just think that maybe if he stayed a little bit longer, maybe he would have made a difference. Because the best players, whenever the teams need them the most, that's when they show up. Like you can be scoring 10-0, like they're not really gonna care. But it's like 1-0, a tie game like this, I would have kept Harry Kane on, even though he was struggling. I think that he's Harry Kane. But again, if Watkins scored a goal, we would not have been here. Would have been like, okay, England won the tournament, yay,
Yeah.
So, but I mean, overall, if you look at everything, overall, it was a great tournament for England. Let's just be honest. The back-to-back finals is amazing for England. I think it's never happened before. And unfortunately for them, they fell short. But it's the beautiful game. Sometimes if the beautiful game doesn't have mercy on you. He doesn't care. If you don't perform the way you're supposed to perform, you lose. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I think that Southgate. I mean, even though I'm not really personally a fan of him, I mean, nothing personal to him. I'm sure he's a great guy, but like in the football terms, I'm not wanting to come coach Chelsea, for example. But I think that he did a really good job with England. If you look at his record, he did an amazing job with England. He gave hope to the English people again. So I think that props to him. But I think that was the right decision to move on to someone better. I just hope that for England's sake, that they get an upgrade and they don't downgrade. I heard about Lampard coming in. I mean, I love Lampard. He's a legend. I'm always gonna be a huge fan. Like, wow, his career. Like I've nothing but praise to the footballing career of Lampard. However, I don't think it will be an upgrade from Southgate to bring him in. I mean, that's my opinion again. I think that it's gonna be tough to find a perfect replacement. They really need to find a better coach at this point that can take them and win a tournament and not go backwards and like not qualify for the Euros or go to the round of 16 of the World Cup. Like that is not what we're looking for here. I think they need an upgrade, and it's going to be very hard to find, honestly.
I think so. Yeah, I think what does work in our favor is we've now got a lot of younger players in the squad that have played in one, maybe even two Euro finals, that have played a World Cup quarterfinal, in the last few years, and they have that experience in those big tournaments, which I think is huge. And it does get you a long way. And I think really what we could say for England is it was our tournament experience over the last few years that got us to the final, really. Again, I agree, like Southgate, he's done a really good job of getting the country excited about the national team again. I mean, after Euro 2016, losing to Iceland, that was the lowest point I think it's been as an England fan for a long time. And he managed to get people excited about the team again, but there's always been questions about his tactical approach to the game and about kind of not being as flexible with waiting too long to make substitutions, picking his favorites versus picking players that are actually playing well. I mean, these are things that we've been talking about the entire time he's been England manager, pretty much. So I was really hoping for his sake that it would be a positive end. But if I was him, I think you could be proud of what you've achieved with the England team. I mean, no other England manager has taken England to a Euros final. He's the first England manager to take us to a Euros final. He's the first England manager to take us to a major tournament final outside of England. I mean, the 1966 World Cup was in England. The 2021 Euro final was in England. So, this was the first time an England team had ever got to a final of a major tournament outside of England. He's got a lot of things to be proud of, but I think also there's an overwhelming feeling from a lot of England fans that him resigning and us kind of moving on and, like you said, trying to find an upgrade is probably for the best. But we'll see. Hopefully it's progression and not regression. But we'll see how it
Yeah,
goes.
definitely. That's the
Um,
last thing you want to see. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about Spain a little bit because, like we said, they were unbelievable this tournament. I think they surprised a lot of people with how good they were and how consistently good they were. And like you said earlier, they didn't really have a bad game. Every game that they played, it wasn't like they needed a bit of luck or those kind of things. I mean, they maybe arguably did have a little bit of luck in the game against Germany where there was a pretty strong shout for a handball which wasn't given to
Guess who was the
Germany, but
referee?
yeah, it was an English referee. We're not gonna go there, but English referees ruin football. No,
I mean,
but
it's Anthony Taylor. I have an agenda against that referee because of how bad he's been with Chelsea, refereeing Chelsea. So yeah,
yeah, we could probably sit here and do an entire episode about what we think about English referees and how bad they
yeah,
are, but maybe we'll save that for another time.
yeah, probably.
But Spain overall, looking at the entire tournament, they didn't really put a foot wrong. They didn't really have a bad game. Like I said, I mean, it was you can't argue that they deserved to win the tournament.
Yeah, I cannot agree with you. I guess that because, um, Germany. I think I predicted Germany to win the whole tournament, and Germany were unbelievable. Germany was playing at home; they were really good, and I think that the only team that could really, if I want to be honest, the only team that could really beat Spain was Germany in this tournament. When I see that how they went all the way to extra time, and then uh, Spain won it there. But if you look at the whole game, if you analyze the whole game, like Germany had a really good shot at beating Spain. So yeah, I mean Spain were unbelievable. Like Lamine Yamal, let's just mention this guy is the future of our football. I just hope that he's not gonna just show up how good he is as a youngster and like 25 years old, just go playing. No offense to New Zealand, but go end up playing in New Zealand, 25 years old. But we definitely. I'm really excited about the future of this sport because we have some really good youngsters like Nicola Williams and Lamine Yamal. They are unbelievable, amazing talent. You and I played the sport since we were kids, and we know how hard it is um, to perform, and especially at this level, to be able to get to this level, it's amazing. And then at 16, I mean, he was actually 17. I think it was 17. Yeah, 17 years old.
I think he had his birthday during the tournament because he started out. He was still 16 when the tournament started, and he had his birthday
Also,
before
he's
the
17.
final. I think.
Oh my god, he's not even
he's
an adult
17.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's at 17 years old, performing like this against the best players. Like if you at the Euros tournament, especially in the quarterfinals of the Euros, you're one of the best players in the world. You are one of the people, like maybe the first top 100, 250 in the world. You're definitely there. So him, Lamine Yamal at 16 years old, performing like this is amazing, and I'm really hope that he continues like that. I mean, Ronaldo and Messi and all those great players that we grew up watching are retiring one by one. Pepe, Ronaldo, um, Griezmann is like 33. He's pretty much down. Olivier Giroud is retiring soon after the MLS. So all those great players are leaving. So I'm excited to see new talent. And I mean, Spain has been unbelievable. I think Rodri was the player of the tournament. The Euros tournament, he was amazing. And I love whenever we have either midfielders or defenders winning an individual award, because usually we all kind of tend to overlook that. We only look at the goal scorers or the goalkeepers. That's most people that we look at. The people that make actually like score goals and like really good saves. But I'm really glad that Rodri, what he was doing in the midfield, Spain was unbelievable. What a team! It's a team to watch for in 2026 at the World Cup. They're one of the favorites automatically, and I'm really excited to see how the Spanish team is gonna perform in the future. But let's not forget is that they won the most Euros now. I think they have 4 Euros in total over Germany that only has 3, and then everybody else has less than them. So Spain is technically the best team, the best European team right now. So really excited to see what how they do in the future.
Yeah, and again, just to kind of to jump in on what you were saying earlier too, I think the emergence of at this tournament of some of the young stars. I mean, you talked about Nico Williams. Obviously, we talked about Lamine Yamal. I think we have to put Arda Güler in there as well, the Turkish midfielder who's at Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a great tournament really for
Yeah.
Turkey, and he looks like he's going to be a star. We've got Xavi Simons as well, the Dutch midfielder who scored against England in the semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good tournament for young players coming through, I think, and showing that the future of football looks like it's going to be in good hands. We hope, if
Yeah.
it stays that way at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about France, because France was the team that I picked to win.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my prediction ahead of time, and they were really disappointing. I felt.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in France. I think France. I was just shocked. I mean, I don't know if Mbappe's injury was a big factor. I'm sure it was a little bit, but yeah, you only score one goal in open play the whole tournament. You don't deserve to win a tournament. I mean, to win a tournament this good as the Euros, it's not just luck. You have to be good. You have to be, if not the best team, but one of the best teams. And France just didn't show it at all. It's crazy. Yeah, one goal in open play, as I was saying. Mbappe, I mean, I don't think people said Mbappe's tournament was terrible. I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't great. It was average to his standards. Let's not forget. I think he scored. Correct me if I'm wrong. He scored one goal, a penalty, and then he did 2 assists in the tournament. So I mean, he assisted a goal in the semifinal. So I don't think it's a bad tournament. He didn't score. It's just like he didn't provide anything to his team. He brought some to his team, but unfortunately, he was average in this tournament. But yeah, when one of your best players is average, you don't. It's really hard to win a tournament, really.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing when you do play at such a high level like Mbappe does, the expectation is just so much higher, and an average, because of how high his level normally is, an average tournament looks like an absolutely horrible tournament because that's not what we're used to seeing from him. But yeah, it's true. I think his injury probably did affect his performance throughout the tournament. But again, France were just kind of a little bit boring to watch, and struggled to score, obviously, struggled to create a lot. I mean, defensively, they were pretty solid, and that's what got them to the semis. But overall, it was kind of a disappointing tournament performance from them, and a little bit surprising. But again, like you said, you've got to show up and play well, and luck can only get you so far. Those moments, like we're talking about with England too, those big moments can only get you so far. You have to be consistent and show up. And in the end, we just didn't really see that from France, which disappointing for them. They've not had a really great record in the Euros recently, in the last few Euros. But I mean, I don't know, they got to the final obviously when they hosted in 2016, but lost that one. And then haven't been to a final of the Euros since then. So yeah. One other thing that I think we should probably mention: Cristiano Ronaldo likely to be his last Euros tournament. How did you think his tournament was?
Love Ronaldo. I think he's my favorite player ever. But I think it's time. It's time to. Honestly, I mean, as much as I would want him to keep going with the Portuguese team, I think that the Portuguese team needs to move on. And I know, I'm like one of the biggest Ronaldo fans you ever meet in your life, but I'm just being honest here. I think that the coach should have rested him more, because I think he played every single minute of the tournament. I mean, as great as he is, he scored I think 50 goals in Saudi Arabia. Like, no offense to Saudi Arabia, but it's not Europe. Europe is the standard of football, is the where the greatest football is played, and you're not gonna score a hat trick every game. I mean, he could do that whenever he was younger. It was like prime Ronaldo could easily do that, but you have to come to terms that, as we say in the US, is father time. You know what I mean? It's time to. I think that he's brought so much to this team, but I think because unless he's willing to stay on the bench more often, come as a sub, or maybe be in the big games, but like be okay staying on the bench or be replaced at the 60th minute. But I feel like because of who he is, he's not okay with that. He wants to start every game. He wants to prove himself, and it's not the same player. I mean, I've seen some easy chance, not easy chances, because I mean I won't say it's an easy chance, but some chances that he had that Prime Ronaldo would have put it away like that. No issue. Like the shots he took, I think he was the player who took most shots in the tournament. One of the players that took the most shots in the tournament, and I think that he had really good chances, and Prime Ronaldo would have put those away easily. I think against France, yeah, Ronaldo would have scored probably a couple goals, but he's not the same player anymore. And I think that unless he's willing to work with the team and be like, okay, I'm gonna be there. If when you guys need me, I'm okay being on the bench. I'm okay starting some games. I'm okay if you don't play me at all this tournament. I just want to be there to help the team in the 2026 World Cup. Then yeah, sure. But if he wants to start every game and like create issues in the team, I think that he needs to let younger players be out there and help out the team. I would not say about the 2022 World Cup. I think that was the wrong decision to bench him at the 2022 World Cup because he was still really good at that time. But I think that right now he's getting closer to the twilight of his tournament or his career. It's his amazing career. But in my opinion, is that he did have a good tournament, and despite like his will to really help the team, he's not the same player anymore.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. I think there was times where it felt like he was in charge and he was the one that was making all the decisions about the starting lineup, and whether he was going to come on, stay off, or stay on or come off. Sorry. But yeah, we talk about no player being bigger than the team, and if it gets to the point where the player is bigger than the team, then that's a problem. And I think that's kind of what we were seeing really with Portugal this tournament. Obviously Ronaldo's one of the greatest players that's ever played the game. His record speaks for itself. Like, he's a legend. There's no one can argue with that. And I think people forget sometimes because of recently he's not been at the level that he was at his peak. People have very short memories and they're like, oh, Ronaldo sucks, but people forget this is one of the greatest players to ever play this sport, right? And when I think for him too, the level of success that he's had, the level that he's played at for a lot of his career, I can totally understand why he still feels like he wants to be there and be starting and play every minute of every game. But I also think if I was one of the younger players in the Portuguese squad that was, playing at a higher level than Saudi, no offense to the Saudi league, but it's just not the same as playing in Europe. You'd be thinking, well, this, I feel like I have more to offer here, but this guy's only playing because of his name and because of his reputation. And, not to say that he shouldn't be playing at all, but yeah, be willing to sacrifice yourself for the sake of the team. That's what makes great teams, I think. But
yeah, and no question asked, he deserves to be on that team. Like, no question.
Oh, yeah.
I will definitely have brought Ronaldo. But then I think that, knowing him he just doesn't want to leave his place. I think that he wants to just show that he's the best, and which is the right attitude to have, but you also have to come to terms that you're not the same player you were. And this tournament just proved it, that you're just not you're not the same Ronaldo anymore. He has really good chances that even 2 or 3 years ago we have easily put them away. So many like good chances he had, and unfortunately it wasn't. But I just don't think that unless he's willing to sacrifice himself and help the team that way, I don't think that he should be in the 2026 World Cup for the good of the Portuguese team, because this team is very talented. They can win a tournament. They are very loaded. They have so many good players, young players, experienced players. However, Pepe, was the one of the best players in this tournament. He's 41 years old.
Yeah.
This is the thing is that if Ronaldo performed like Pepe did, I'm pretty sure they would have won a tournament. And that's just the way it is. That's just the truth. That the way Pepe at 41 years old was carrying that team in the back, the defense, yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, we'll have to see kind of how it pans out for the next World Cup. It'd be interesting to kind of see the direction that the Portuguese squad decides to go, and also as well just the rest of these European teams. I mean, Spain. I'd be excited to see Spain how they do at the World Cup. Obviously, England with a new coach will be. If they get the right coach, it'll be exciting. If they get the wrong coach, it won't be. But we'll see how that goes.
It'd be another painful tournament for sure.
Yeah, but why don't we switch gears a little bit? We'll talk about Copa America. So obviously Argentina winning that final went to extra time. It was, of course, the final being the only game of the tournament that could go to extra time and not just straight to penalties after 90 minutes. But Argentina won that 1-0 against Colombia. I think, first of all, I just want to say I thought Colombia had a great tournament. I thought they were really, really good. I thought they deserved to be in the final. And unfortunately, when you're up against a team like Argentina, especially the Argentina of recent years, it's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I predicted Colombia to win the tournament. I mean, they went to the final. James Rodriguez was really good. He was really outstanding. He was the player of the tournament. I think he had like 6 assists or something like that. It was unbelievable. But Argentina was just the better team. I mean, Argentina is very they have a lot of how you call it. They have like a lot of backups. You know what I mean? If like a player is injured, somebody can come in and score at every single position. So the defense to the attack. So Martinez, he would start. He can start on any team. So he was on the bench, and it came on in the extra time. That tells you a lot about this Argentinian team, that they have a lot of players that can come in and make a difference. And that's the thing about a tournament like this. The guy I think he's the captain of Inter Milan, right? Lautaro Martinez.
Lautaro Martinez, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing about this is that about the game. It shows how much you have to be a team player to play the sport. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you're not a team player, you're not going to win a tournament. Even though he's like one of the best players in the world, especially in Europe, he's okay with sitting on a bench until extra time, the second half of extra time, to come on and win the tournament for his team. And he doesn't care. And that's the whole thing about this, is that, and this is what makes the strength of the Argentina team, is that they're all behind the leaders, Lionel Messi. They all like follow the leaders. They really play as a team. And I think that, it's not just the talent they have. I've noticed that the past few years, the new coach that they brought in has been really good at uniting this team. Even I think, I forgot his name, Garnacho, the guy from United. He hasn't, I don't think he's played a single minute in this Copa America, even though he's like one of the best players in England right now. But he was fine. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he wanted to play, but he was behind the team. And then he celebrated like he doesn't care. That's the whole thing, is that this team is very good at playing together and not putting individuals. So whenever you can do whatever you want at your own clubs, when you come in, the Argentina's team, Messi's the leader, and we play as a team. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you scored like 100 goals in your club. When you come here, you put yourself at the service of the team. So if I put you in just for the PKs, I don't care. Be content. You better show me good attitude, otherwise you never play for the team again. I feel like this is kind of the mentality they have. They built over the few years, and this is what makes them a really good team. And obviously, Emiliano Martinez, I may not like him as a person, based on his attitude and the way he is, but footballing terms, he's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, he's who you want in goal if your team is in a penalty shootout. Like, he just is. Mm-hmm. He just seems to thrive in that environment, and I'm sure too, as defenders. I mean, he is a good goalkeeper as well. As a defender, to know that you have him behind you if you make a mistake or if something goes wrong. it's hard to argue that he's not one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best goalkeeper in the world right now, regardless of whether or not anyone likes him as a person. He's just on pure footballing terms. He's great.
Yeah.
One of the talking points from the final was the fact that there was some issues with the crowd and security and safety concerns, which ultimately meant that the match had to be delayed. I think it was maybe an hour or more than an hour late kickoff in the end because of the trouble there. Obviously, the US is hosting the next World Cup. US hosted this Copa America as well. Do you think there's reason to be concerned about some of the safety and security for the upcoming World Cup? Do you think it was maybe just a one-off incident? I don't know.
Very obvious, but I don't know if you really look into this Copa America. There were a lot of issues with this Copa America, not just the final. I'm gonna definitely come to the final, but I also wanted to mention about how apparently, I don't know if you heard about it, the football size, the pitch was smaller for the Copa America than usual. Do you hear about that, Elliot?
I don't think I did. No.
You look into that, yeah, that's how bad it was. So essentially, because they prefer playing in NFL stadiums, right? They prefer playing in NFL stadiums, and not all NFL stadiums have the right size for the pitch, right? So they were like, okay, we're gonna make it fair for everyone, and we're just gonna make it smaller for everyone across the board. So that's how bad it was. They didn't care about anything else. So essentially, I feel like this Copa America, to be honest, was more about business. People wanting to just, spend money on, how you call it, that just wanted to make money. I think this is what this Copa America, they focused mostly on making money. They didn't really care about the football that was going on. And that's how bad it was. And then apparently there were some issues with training pitches. They were training on NFL pitches and stuff. I'm like, I mean, it's the United States. We don't really care about soccer here. It's like, it's not as important as football or basketball or other sports. So, but yeah, I'm very worried about the World Cup that is coming up in 2026. But I think this was really good practice for the United States too, because to see the mistakes that were made, the things that needs to be changed. But yeah, let's go back to the final. It was awful. An hour and 50 minutes, whatever it was, is just not good for the players. It just changes the dynamic of the team and everything, And on top of that, they had a 30-minute halftime. I don't know if you heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah.
They had a halftime with Shakira. I mean, I'm not gonna complain that Shakira was playing. I mean, because it's Shakira, but like do it at the beginning of the game. Like they're trying to Americanize it. Like say, oh no, we're gonna do a halftime show. Like, come on. I know you're in the United States, but this is football, man. We have a 15-minute period to rest, and you go back in. Like 30 minutes just changes everything. Like the players are like, those are professional players. They're not like people that just play for fun like you and I. They're professional players. They know that they have 45 minutes plus extra time, 15 minutes to rest, go back on the pitch, 45 minutes again, extra time, potentially extra time again, and then penalty kicks. That's what they know. That's how they program. That's how the body's programmed. So if you give you a 30-minute break, that's huge. That's a very disadvantage to a team. So,
and I
really think that
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's one thing doing that in a preseason friendly. I mean, there's a lot of preseason friendly games that happen over here in the US. That's different. Like, fine, no one's really going to care if you put in a 30-minute halftime show. But in the major tournament final, it just doesn't seem awful. It doesn't seem right.
I think that the president of CONMEBOL should be fired. Like, it was an awful tournament. It was good for business. I'm sure it made a lot of people richer. They probably made the most money that they will make maybe in 5 Copa Americas, because it's the United States. I'm sure they cannot get away with charging $200 minimum for a group stage game in South America. Like, you're gonna put it in Brazil, Argentina, and charge $200 for minimum for a game. Some people pay even $2,000. I mean, I wanted to go and I could have gone, but I was like, I'm good. I don't want to. I'd rather wait for the World Cup or the Club World Cup coming up next year and spend my money on that than spending $200 just to be like on the moon and watch people with binoculars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
and that's
just the
not
whole
even
thing was awful at
including,
it.
yeah, that's not even including the cost of traveling to the stadium, getting
And
food,
hotels. People
hotels.
were paying
Yeah,
$50 for parking. $50
yeah,
for parking.
parking as well is crazy. I
Like,
mean,
this
it's
is
just
insane. I mean,
it's such a cash grab, is what it
yeah.
feels like. And so one other talking point that did come out of the Copa America final was the Argentina squad video that was posted to Instagram by Enzo Fernandez. For those not aware, it was a chant that the Argentina squad was singing, questioning kind of the origins of some of the French national team squad, especially the black players in the French squad. And obviously there was some issues too with certain players in that squad trying to defend what was sung and what was said. But I want to ask you, Christian, what your take was on that.
I really think it was disgusting. You know, it was very disgusting to hear those chants because it doesn't make sense at all. And then they say it's no racist, but it is. That's the thing. The thing is that like most Argentinians, maybe 99.9% of them are not from like the ancestors are not from Argentina. They are from Europe. Like 99.9% of them. I'm sure there's some natives, so I don't want to say 100% of them. But Argentina is a country that is known for being mostly from Europe. Their people are from Europe. That's just fact. Like, so saying that, singing a song like this is just kind of stupid, honestly, to say stuff like that. We live in the 21st century, in 2024. The world is a very different world now. People, doesn't matter like how you look like. You can be from any nationality. You can be black and be from China. You can be Caucasian and be from from Africa. There's a lot of Europeans in Africa. There's like European descendants from Africa, like South Africa. There's a lot of European descendants from Africa. Um, so I just think that it's just disgusting. I know it's banter, but it's you have to have some how you call it, some limits in that, because I mean, as much as the British banters can hurt sometimes, but it's never to that level. It's never gonna go across that line. Like saying that Mesut Ozil, his eyes are offside. I don't know if you know that song. Mesut Ozil, his eyes are offside. I mean, I mean, it sucks, but there's no racism there. It's just like that's how his eyes are, and then they make fun of his banter. It's funny. Or we talk shit about Tottenham or we talk shit about Arsenal, but I'm never gonna say that like one player's from the North Pole because he's very Caucasian or somebody's from South Sudan, because I mean that's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Like this limit here, and apparently, I mean Argentina, I mean the Argentina team, I mean the Argentinians to say, I mean not okay. I should be very careful here. Not all of them say that. I like that. Okay, but there's some people, some terrible people that are racist, and then they also even call Brazilians monkeys and stuff. So it's a country known for that. Unfortunately, that's just the reputation of the country. Unfortunately, and then whenever those players play for the national team, they represent their country. They represent, you know, Argentina. So they should do better. But it looks like it was taken care of with the Chelsea dressing room. Enzo apologized, and I just hope he's never gonna do that again. Because if he does that again, I think he should be banned. Like, I don't want him on the team anymore, because at this point you made a mistake. Mistakes happen. You got maybe carried away. I still think what he did was unforgivable. But let's give him a second chance and see what he does, and hopefully that this song would never be sung again in the Argentine national team.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with everything you said. By the way, I mean I think there's no place for that in the game. There's no place for that anywhere. I mean, the world that we live in, there should not be any excuses for that for any racism of any kind. I mean,
Yeah,
there just shouldn't be. And I think the thing that was really damaging about the video being posted, I mean, first of all, it was just really stupid of him to post it to Instagram anyway. That was just I mean, yes, they shouldn't be doing that. whether or not they're streaming it on Instagram. But to post it, I mean, it got so much media attention, which rightfully so, because it was the wrong thing to do. But it kind of also sends the message out to people that watch the game and that idolize these players. Oh, it's okay to be racist, but it's not, you know.
Yeah,
and
it's not. Yeah.
I'm glad that it was. I'm glad that it was something that some of the Chelsea players addressed directly on their own Instagram pages as well. And you know, like you said, I think it's good that Enzo apologized. It's a shame that so many people in and around the Argentina squad were trying to defend it, but you know, at the end of the day, like, there's just no place for that. We can't have that in society. That's just the way the world is, the level of diversity that we have everywhere you go. It just doesn't make any sense. Not that it really ever made any sense anyway, but it's crazy to me that we're still dealing with that in 2024. I can't really quite believe it, but yeah, I think I agree. I mean, if we see this kind of behavior again, there's got to be stronger sanctions imposed on players and on teams, because the message, if they're just allowed to get away with an apology, the message that sends is football as an entity doesn't really care about racism. And that's definitely not the message that they're trying to get across. You know, that's not their approach. I mean, you know, you see the banners that say no room for racism, or, you know, kick racism out of football, and those kind of things. And those kind of things are good to have, but it's meaningless if nothing's done about it, right? So that's kind of what I think about it anyway. So it's a shame, and hopefully we won't be seeing that kind of thing again.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we take a quick break here, and we will quick preview the upcoming football season.
Wouldn't it be nice to stop juggling all of your bills and have them all in one place? Lucky for you, with Bill's Treasury, you can do that. So first, you'll go to the Bill's Treasury app, open it up, and then you can actually add in each one of your bills. So you'll fill in the name, type of bill, and then the website. You'll fill in the amount due, and then of course the due date. Click on bills. It'll bring up all of your bills in one place so you can see them all together, which is so nice. It can kind of get confusing when we have so many bills to pay, but they're all over the place. So this app is so nice because they're all in one spot. So then when it's actually time to pay your bill, you'll go to the app and you'll click pay bill, click the bill you want to pay, and it'll bring you directly to the website. This is going to make adulting so much easier, so download Bill's Treasury now.
Okay, so for the final part of today's episode, we are going to have a quick look at the upcoming season. Not just Premier League. I mean, I know we've tried to make a point of not focusing so much on the Premier League and giving space for the other leagues as well, because this is a football podcast. It's not a Premier League podcast or a Chelsea podcast, as we're Chelsea fans. You know, it's a football podcast, so we want to talk about as much of the football around the world as we can. So, but we in saying that, we will start with the Premier League.
Absolutely, the best league.
So, kind of what we're going to talk about is, what are we looking forward to this season? What are we maybe a bit more worried about this season? And what are the teams that we think are going to do well?
It's Manchester City, of course. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna go. It's gonna be very hard to go 5 in a row in the Premier. Was it 5? Yeah, it's 5 in a row, right?
It would be 5 in a row. Yeah.
Not impossible. They have the team. They haven't really made any changes. They're still very strong. So I think that they can potentially fight in a row. So Arsenal too. I think Arsenal is still gonna be out there. They're gonna be among one of the best teams to try to win the tournament. The Premier League again. I see Liverpool, even though they're gonna change coaches. I mean, I don't think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna be at least top 5 this season, because the 5th spot can potentially give you Champions League. So I think they can definitely be top 5. And then Tottenham too. I think I see consistency in Tottenham, probably top 5 too. Uh, Unfortunately, I don't see Chelsea even being top 6 this season. And again, I hope that I'm proven wrong. I hope that the coach finds a way to get us to top 4. That's what we are hoping for. I don't see us in the Champions League next season. And as much as it pains me to say that as a Chelsea fan, not playing the Champions League for 3 seasons in a row is going to be awful for us. But I mean, again, that's my opinion. What do you think, Elliot?
Yeah, I think to touch on Chelsea, I'm quite worried about the upcoming season, to be completely honest. I just don't, the direction that the club is going in terms of the way that the ownership is changing the philosophy, don't like it. But I hope I'm going to be wrong, but we'll see. I'm not super confident. I think it's going to be between City, Arsenal, and Liverpool again for the title. I think Liverpool is one we don't really know what to expect because of the fact that they've changed their manager. They've had a pretty good preseason so far, from what I understand. But as we know, preseason results doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do good in the proper season when it starts. So, but I still think they'll be up there. They've got a great squad. It'll just maybe take them some time to get used to a new coach and maybe a slightly different philosophy of playing. I think Arsenal will push City all the way again. We've seen that for the last 2 seasons now. They have the experience. They've got a pretty good team, a pretty good squad. But it's hard to see. Annoyingly, it's hard to see past City winning again. We'll have to see how it pans out, but that's what it pretty much looks like. It's going to be 5 in a row. Yeah. I think Tottenham are an interesting one because I like their manager. I like Postecoglou. I think he's a good manager. He's a great personality. I'm just not sure that Tottenham squad is really well equipped to finish in a Champions League place. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, they came really close last season. They came
close last season, but I think they had a pretty big fall off towards the end of the season, and they very much could have secured top 4. I mean, it was in their hands at one point, and they threw it away. So I think Aston Villa will have another good season, but I think they'll struggle with playing in the Champions League and Premier League. I mean, I think towards the end of last season, they were going far in Conference League, and I think that affected their Premier League performances a little bit. I think we'll see the same again, especially with the new Champions League format, with there being more games in the group stage. I think Aston Villa will maybe struggle a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting to see how kind of the rest of the table, apart from those top 2 or 3 that we pretty much know is going to be City, Arsenal, Liverpool. I think there's still a lot of unknowns around Manchester United. They had a good end to the season with winning the FA Cup. A lot of questions about Ten Hag's future, but he ultimately has ended up staying. But they also have, they brought in players that have ended up getting injured in preseason. So that's just a difficult one to predict, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And I think of the promoted teams that came up from the Championship, we've got Ipswich, we've got Southampton, and we have Leicester. I think Leicester have a squad that's good enough to stay up. I think Southampton and Ipswich, not sure. I mean, unfortunately, I kind of see Ipswich being a little bit like Luton Town last season, where it's amazing for them to just be in the Premier League, and credit to them for getting here. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but I think they will make the most of it. They'll make the most of their experience, just like Luton did, and but ultimately we'll go back down. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think Ipswich is not gonna stay up, unfortunately for them. But I think Southampton. You said right? Is Southampton?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Southampton and then Leicester. They have a really good shot of staying up, but the Premier League is becoming more and more competitive, especially even at the bottom of the table. Only at the bottom of the table. The top is not really competitive with City. Most likely going to win the fifth, but yeah, the bottom of the table is actually becoming more interesting than anything else. But yeah, I think that it really pains me honestly as a Chelsea fan, lifelong Chelsea fan, to see how low we've fallen under this ownership. I really don't have a lot of good expectations from this team. I think we're probably going to have a season as last season. I don't see us really like making any much progress, honestly. I'm hoping that I'm proven wrong. I really want the team to succeed. If we win the Premier League at the end of the season, I'm gonna be like, okay, I was wrong. I'm happy. I mean, I'm gonna be supporting. No matter what, I'm gonna be supporting this team. But I just don't have a lot of hopes, honestly. And let's just talk before we move to the leagues for a few more minutes. Can we talk about the new coach that we got? We got replaced. Pochettino got replaced by a new coach. And then also Gallagher is refusing to sign another contract. And I think that, it's kind of sad to see that, because the same thing happened with Rudiger, Christensen, as well as Mason Mount. Mason Mount was a major player for us and refused to sign. And I feel like maybe they just maybe they don't see the same playing for this new ownership. I think this has to be a big fact, because I think Gallagher loves Chelsea. He's been a Chelsea fan, a Chelsea player for his whole life. I know he's been on loans and stuff, but he's been a Chelsea player pretty much his whole life. So, and then they're also getting rid of Chalaba, which is incomprehensible. I just don't understand this ownership. I'm just very disappointed, Elliot. What do you think about this before we move on to the next league?
It feels like, and I know we did kind of have a discussion about this in our episode on Chelsea in season 1, but it feels like it's the soul of the club is changing so much. It's let's buy every young player that's got an ounce of potential, and any of our own young players that we've developed through the academy will sell and get a massive profit on. Seems to be the way it's run now, rather than let's invest in the players that are good for us, whether or not they've come through the academy or whatever it is. But just the focus of bringing in so many young players. This is now our third season with a new coach at the beginning of the season. It's just, it's a shame, really. And I think, like we were saying too, I think Drogba said it best when he said, "I don't recognize my club anymore." It's just not giving us fans a lot of hope for the future, unfortunately. Yeah. And I think appointing a manager too that, yes, he's worked with Pep at City, but his only real experience as an individual manager was bringing Leicester to the Premier League from the Championship, that's a completely different level of a job to what comes with managing Chelsea. So hope I'm wrong. Hope he can do it, but I'm nervous.
I just don't understand this ownership, man. It doesn't make sense to me, but okay.
Yeah. I'm sure we could sit here and talk for another 2-3 hours about our thoughts about that. But
yeah.
Let's look at La Liga. Obviously, Real Madrid, the big talking point for them, signing Mbappe, bringing him into their team. Do you think that makes them unstoppable now?
Honestly, I mean, I don't know until we have maybe they play a full season together to assess their performance, because a lot of super teams have failed before, like countless of super teams. So it's not just about assembling the best team players that you're gonna win everything. It's also about playing as a team. And Ancelotti has been really great at managing personalities and superstars, because oh my god, they have like, I think it's the next Galacticos. They have like collection of stars. It's incredible. But I feel like, they, I think they're gonna struggle. Maybe they're gonna struggle. I don't know. It just depends on how they play together as a team. If they're gonna put their ego aside, I don't care about the Ballon d'Or. I just want to win. I just want to be able to make my team win. I want to win the Champions League. If the players are able to put it aside and be like, okay, if I win a Ballon d'Or, then good. That's a bonus. But my priority is to win trophies. And if they do that, then sure. But if they don't do that, let's say Vinny Jr. is like, no, I'm the best player here. Bellingham says the same thing. Mbappe says the same thing. Then it's not going to work out. So we'll see. But to answer your question, I think they're definitely the overwhelming favorites for every single trophy that they play in. Champions League again, La Liga, anything. But again, Barcelona has a really good squad too. I think they're thinking about getting Nico Williams, and we'll see the potential of the Minimal too. And they have a new coach, a really good coach that they have that I wish Chelsea recruited, but this ownership was never going to go for that. But I think, it's exciting. I think La Liga is again going to be a tournament that I'm willing to pay money to watch again, because the past few years, honestly, since Ronaldo and Messi left, I haven't really been following it. But I think that, it's going to be the Clásicos are going to be again, really, really interesting to watch. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe especially with Barcelona, we've seen their level dip a little bit since Messi left, but they've done a really good job of kind of building back up and putting together a really exciting team again. And I think it'd be an exciting season for La Liga. Obviously, last season with Bundesliga, we had kind of the shock of Leverkusen winning the title. Do you and then of course, Xabi Alonso deciding he could have gone to any club he wanted in terms of being a manager, and he decided to stay at Leverkusen, which I think is massive. How do you see that one going? I mean, I kind of feel like Bayern are the powerhouse, and they didn't have the best season, but they also have brought in Vincent Kompany as a coach who's never coached at that level before. It's definitely a big gamble for them. So I think maybe we'll see a bit more of a competitive Bundesliga, but I don't know. What do you think?
I really want to know what the board of Bayern Munich were like. Yeah, we're just going to recruit a Vincent Kompany. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I think maybe the sport is really changing. The beautiful game is really changing on it's so different now compared to what I'm accustomed to. What I grew up with watching. 10 years ago, that would never have happened. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I think that, Bayern are always the favorites no matter what. It doesn't matter even if they finished at the bottom of the league the season before. They're always going to be the favorites in the Bundesliga. It's very hard to predict, honestly, how they're going to do. I think maybe we're going to have to assess maybe after 10 games in to see if how Bayern Leverkusen, that haven't lost the Bundesliga game last season, let's see if they keep the momentum. And a credit to Xabi Alonso with him staying, because other coaches just leave whenever they have an amazing season. They just go to the next season. I'm very happy that he decided to stay to build this team and try to build something long term. I think this is very, very honorable, honestly. But to answer your question, I think that Bayern Munich are definitely the favorites. But we'll see. I don't know how Dortmund is going to do too, because they lost the manager. And I think they lost Royce, who was a legend for the team. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a competitive Bundesliga, honestly, unless Bayern Munich obviously find a way. I'm just hoping that at least Harry Kane wins something, man. Even if he wins the German Cup or whatever, just win something, man. I will feel bad if he goes another season without winning anything. I really will, honestly.
Yeah, I think he's too good of a player to end his career without winning a single trophy.
I agree.
And we'll have to hope for his sake that Bayern win at least something, so he's not going to be retiring with 0 trophies.
That'd be awful.
We'll have to see how it pans out. Yeah, I guess we could talk a little bit about Ligue 1. I think it's probably going to be PSG again, as it usually is, because it's a little bit of a farmers league.
Yeah. Mbappe left. They lost pretty much all the stars, Neymar, Messi. I'm not going to be watching it. I'm just going to watch the results and see who wins. But
Yeah.
it's sad. I hope that they find a way to make it more attractive again.
Yeah. I think a lot of these superstars that were playing at PSG are kind of realizing, success in the French league is not enough. Like, they want to win the Champions League. They want to go on and win, La Liga. I mean, that's a more prestigious league to win than Liga.
Unless you're Neymar that went to Saudi Arabia because of money, of course. No offense to him.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, it's
but
money.
I think a lot of players are realizing, like, you can be a superstar at PSG, but the legacy of that is not going to be much compared to being a superstar elsewhere. And
Real Madrid
it's unfortunate for the league, because it's a league that has a great history, and it's a league that does have a lot of really, really great teams. But yeah, it's not what I'm going to be paying too much attention to as well, to be honest with you. Serie A is the last one of the big five in Europe that we are going to look at. Obviously, it was Inter that won the title last season. I think, Inter, AC Milan, Napoli, just, hiring Antonio Conte as their coach as well. Napoli kind of had a bit of a rough season last year. From going from winning the league the previous season to, I think they finished 9th or 10th or quite mid-table, which was kind of a bit of a surprise. But I think they'll be back up there this season. Obviously, Juventus is always in the conversation, but I think looking at the way that Serie A has kind of gone over the last few seasons, it does feel like it's a lot more competitive than it's been. I mean, before you could just go, well, yeah, Juventus is going to win it. But now you look at it and you go, well, it could be any one of a few different teams. Inter will probably be the favorites, but that it's much more of a difficult league to call now, and I think that's good for the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very interesting league too. Even though I'm not really going to pay much attention to it, but I watch some of the games, honestly. AC Milan, Napoli, Inter Milan, Juventus too, that is coming back up too. So it's going to be an exciting league. I think it's going to be more competitive, honestly, than the Premier League. And probably La Liga too. So it's actually going to be the most competitive league in Europe this season, to be honest, because they have like 3 or 4 teams that can win the tournament, which is this is what we want. We want, excitement. Instead of just like a kind of a script that we know already was going to win. So it's going to be very exciting. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to the next season. It's going to be very exciting. A lot of movements with transfers that happen, new coaches that came in, and always excited too for a new season in football, of course. So
yeah, absolutely. Me too. All right. Well, that just about does it for today. We're going to wrap up here. Again, thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you so much to the Bills Treasury app for sponsoring this episode. Again, you can download it at the App Store or on Google Play. And yeah, we'll see you next time when the football will have started and we'll actually have some matches to talk about.
Talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye for now.